Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's VC Task Force Gary's Picks event for startups and investors. And also, Happy New Year. My name is Joel Rosenberg, Director of Business Development and Strategy for VC Task Force. VC Task Force is an organization where the venture community comes together to address critical issues, provide workshops, and other events for the benefit of the venture and entrepreneurial communities. VC Task Force provides access to an extensive ecosystem of VCs, corporate VCs, and angel investors. You may ask questions anytime during the event, and time permitting, they will be answered live after today's interview. It is my pleasure to welcome Gary's Picks host, Gary Fowler. Gary is CEO and co-founder of GSD Venture Studios, an award-winning growth stage AI venture studio. Gary is also co-founder of the award-winning AI startup Eva.ai, as well as the investment firm DY Investments. Today, Gary will be interviewing special guest Dave Smith, founder and CEO of SafeSteps. Founded in February 2021, SafeSteps is dedicated to reducing the levels of stress, anxiety, and depression in the homes of families with teenagers. Through elimination or reduction of these elements, we will have evidence-based data demonstrating we can prevent the incidence of teen suicide and violence to others. Dave has a BS degree in business management from Cal Poly, Pomona, and an M.B.A. from the Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University. Dave has demonstrated sales excellence in healthcare and human capital management. He is a serial entrepreneur with successful exits both by IPO and sale of privately held companies. SafeSteps is an ambitious project dedicated to putting a major dent in the universe by saving lives of distressed youth and their families throughout North America. Take it away, Gary.
That's great. Thanks, Joel. Thanks, June. It's great to have Dave here. And as Joel said, my name is Gary Fowler, and I am the CEO, president, and founder of GSD, Get You Done Venture Studios. And it's great to be here one more time. So Dave, you're a serial entrepreneur with several exits under your belt and now leading this dynamic company called SafeSteps. You're focused on doing the right thing by helping high school students develop effective communication skills and decision-making skills. And that's one of the challenges. I know I have 2 kids of my own, and I can tell you going up through the teenage years, it ain't so easy. So you've worked with several thousand families, documenting the value proposition and outcomes to reduce stress and stress levels and costs. But I got a question for you, Dave. Why in the world did you go to school in Sweden?
Well,
I went to the school and I looked it up and I checked it out. That seems like it's interesting, but why did you do that? I mean, it's not like everybody says, oh, I'm from California, but I'm going to Sweden from 77 to 78.
Well, I think a lot of serendipity was there, Gary. Actually, I was approached by one of my professors at Cal Poly that previously I had him in a class at USC my freshman year. He approached me in my sophomore year when I transferred and couldn't afford USC any longer. They took my football scholarship away. So I had to pay for my education myself. At Cal Poly, I took the same professor's course in a different manner. And after the course, he liked me. I was doing well in this course, but he also was the representative for the scholarship program that the California state universities were providing to go to Europe. And at that point in time, I had just broken up with my fiance. He offered me a scholarship to go to Europe, and I said, heck yeah, why not? So the university...
You just broke up with your fiance. Your football thing is done. You got a scholarship and you're going to Sweden. I can't think of a better thing. I mean, it sounds like that's the dream come true. Now, how was it in Sweden? How was life over there?
Gary, life over there was so different from Southern California. They talked differently. They looked different. They spoke a different language. And I had 12 weeks to learn Swedish at a college level. in order to be
Wow.
accepted into the university. So it had the opportunity to really break you down. So you had to go over many hurdles in order to even participate. I got to tell you, Gary, I went over at 19 years of age, and 2 years later, I came back and I was 35 years of age.
Wow, that's amazing.
It matured me in so many different ways. The best thing I ever did in my life was to do that, to break this cycle of what I knew in my, growing up in Southern California and learning how other people thought, worked, and lived. So it was wonderful.
Now, I got a question for you. Did you ever think to yourself when you were there that you could live there the rest of your life?
Oh, that's a loaded question, because the spring after the first full school year in the spring, you just don't understand how the Swedes are sun worshipers, and they have all these festivals in the spring. I met the most beautiful Swedish girl in that you could ever imagine. And she and I fell in love. In fact, I renewed for a second year just to see how that relationship went.
Wow, that's amazing. And how was that? I mean, so what was different? Let's talk about the differences. What did you find that was so different over there? Like, I know dating's a lot different than here, right? You have
It was
walks for like 1 hour, and you'll go out and they have a drink, but they don't have like dinner dates in a traditional fashion like here. But how was that?
it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal from the standpoint you can read about the differences in our cultures, but you don't realize what they truly are until you live in them. And at least that's what my experience has been. So I know that you have lived in Russia for many years, and I know that the life in Russia is totally different than in the United States. So to compare that, now, not only was their culture, their politics, their how their views of life are, they were, quite honestly, I learned a different perspective about the United States because I saw it through their lens, not the lens of our media today. And I learned that basically that the stories that we're taught not necessarily are the same stories that are communicated outside the United States than inside. The other thing was I experienced life at a different level. I also, the housing arrangement was totally different. It was a combination of an apartment and a frat house, all in the same place.
Apartment and a frat house.
Yeah. What they had was the student housing.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It looked like apartment complex, but what they did was you took an elevator, they're like 10 floors up. And what they had was you could either go to the left or go to the right. They were corridors, what they call corridors. And the corridors had eight studio apartments on each side. And they had a communal kitchen. And you had one locked cupboard where you could bring your food, lock it up, and that time, and you have one layer of, they had these two big refrigerators, and you had those where everybody would convene and have food, meet, converse, talk. I had people from Greece, Finland, Italy, refugees from distraught countries from from Africa, and it was a melting pot. And at this time of the year, it was very depressing. The holidays was a terrible time. In the 2 years I was there, I experienced the result of 4 suicides that occurred.
Why is that?
Everybody who was living there as a refugee and going to school, if you came to Sweden, they required you to go to college, become productive in their economy. And the people that were leaving their existing countries, they went into deep depression and they ended up just figuring that this isn't a good life.
Wow. Well, it sounds to me like a pretty good life. It sounds to me like you got your own apartment in a frat house. You got communal kitchens. There's sun worshipers, and you're a single guy, and you're hanging around. I mean, or lady, right? It sounds like that's the
Hey, I couldn't describe it any better. I mean, it's a life experience that I cherish and still, and I made great relationships and friendships. They are the most giving people that I have come across. And I also had the opportunity to travel throughout Europe on school breaks and during different times. And I tell you, the education was priceless.
Wow, that's amazing. And their society's a lot different too, right? They have really good social systems in place, and healthcare is at a different level, right?
Oh yeah, but their tax system is unbelievable. The social welfare system, if you think we have difficulties in the United States, go to Europe where there's all of healthcare is taken care of through the government, and then you'll really see a problem. Taxation you think we pay high taxes now? While I was there in Sweden, there was an uproar that there was a Swedish author of children's books who was extremely successful. She was taxed 104% of her income.
How can that be?
That's the Swedish system. That's what the uproar was about.
Wow.
For every dollar she generated from her books, she had to pay $1.04 in tax.
I wouldn't be writing any books then, that's for sure.
Exactly. So the attitudes are totally different. A doctor, for example, can only make a certain level, and they're then taxed beyond that. So they can pay for people who are unemployed. So the difference between being a medical professional and being somebody who's unemployed is very little. So the reason why I came back to the United States was I'm a capitalist. I'm a businessman.
Mhm.
That system takes away the desire for innovation, the reward system that people work with. And as an entrepreneur, I ended up becoming, it would be stifling. So you're not going to meet a person that is greater in saying God bless America and meaning it, because I've lived it in both places, and we live in the greatest country in the world.
Yeah, that's right. And so you went down through, you went to school at California State, you went to the Jack Welch Management Institute, you worked at Vital Metrics, Infrasonics, Reed Daniels in San Diego. And then, you went down through College Funding Connection, and you did that for 8 years, almost 9 years. But then you came into Dade and then Safe Steps. So how did you come into Safe Steps? What made you decide to say, I'm going to make a dent in the universe and I want to see how I can help?
Well, the real reason why I went into this was out of a commitment I made to my mother. I'm proud to say I'm a mama's boy. Okay. In 2001, Gary, we all know where we were when 9/11 occurred. Well,
Yeah.
9/11 was not only a pivotal day for our world, but also a pivotal day in my personal life, because I got a phone call frantically asking me to come up to Los Angeles immediately. My mother had fallen, couldn't get up, and she was lying on the kitchen floor of our home in Los Angeles. So I raced up there, found her there. She was in a weakened state. I picked her up, took her to bed. And that was the day I found out she had been diagnosed with cancer. The last 3 months of her life, I was her primary caregiver. And during that time, she asked me different things. One of them was to make sure that her grandkids went to college. I said, sure, Mom, no problem. I made that dedication to her, not knowing what that meant. Well, after she passed on December 23rd in 2001, I grieved for a while. And then about this time in 2002, I started trying to think, okay, how in the heck am I going to fulfill my commitment to my mother?
Mhm.
I have one nephew and one niece. My wife and I, we raise horses and dogs, animals. We don't have the two-legged variety, okay, of kids. Our kids are animals. So I was not prepared to accept the responsibility for 2 college educations. And this is what I found. It cost over $250,000 to put a kid through college
Yeah.
on average. The average debt is over $50,000 per student per degree.
Mhm.
The 4-year degree is now 6.4 years to get on an average. And the employment rate at the time of graduation undergrad is 44% and
Wow, that's bad.
dropping.
Yeah. Why is that? Why is it dropping, Dave?
Because there's a transition in the marketplace. The employers are moving to a different workforce that they need to survive and thrive in the future. We are effectively the World Health Organization, World Economic Forum, which I'm sure you're familiar with, in 2015 projected that 80 million jobs are going to be replaced by 2030 through this decade. 80 million jobs are going to be replaced by technology. They're going to take a position that a human is doing and replacing it with some form of technology, reducing the cost, increasing the accuracy and reliability, efficiency, and profitability. We are entering into a war for talent because right now, the economics, the numbers bear this out. We have 10.4 million jobs available, open. And the reason why they're open, the majority of them is because the skills that the employers are looking for are not there. Now, what we're teaching, I'm not saying our educational system is wonderful, but as we're progressing with technology, the skill level of the employees needs to be changing with the technology. Technology cannot do the things that a human being can do. And MIT has studied this and is pioneering the message that human skills are the capital of the future.
Yeah.
Now, in that, what we have done at Safe Steps, we have developed a process of training and supporting the development of human skills. Now, MIT reports 24 skills. We get it down to 5. We want to simplify it. STEPS is an acronym for self-esteem, time management, emotional intelligence, problem solving, and service to others. This will provide a competitive advantage for people who have those skills, for them to have an advantage in employment and advancement in their professions.
Yeah.
I've proven this over and over again. I learned this by placing over 10,000 people as an owner of an executive search firm focused on healthcare. To get back to the short answer, why Safe Steps, why I started it, it was because I was providing a workshop locally to families to teach them how to go to college, do it efficiently, and do it without student loans. I wrote a book after working this process through with 500 families, that the book is titled College Without Student Loans.
Wow, that's great. And you said it's a bestseller.
It's a bestseller on Amazon. Yeah, you can get it on Amazon even to this day. I published it in 2014.
Wow, congratulations.
So it really is something that I've had thoughts about. tested them, and found out that there's value in preparing people for the future. And while you're doing it, it's easier to do it as a family. Parents are the true educators of our youth today, and they always have been. But because we're advocating it to education of secondary or primary schooling, they think that the public schools are the place to go. They're important, very important, but it's not just the knowledge, it's how you apply it. And that's where the skills come in. That is what employers are looking for today. It's not what you know, it's how you use it. And this is where we're focused on training, developing, and supporting not only the students, but the parents also, because the parents have never learned these skills. So I'm just thrilled because we're bringing parents and students together in a new way that is constructive to both of them, that allows them to create a line of communication that, after a while, a parent, the transition, a parent's role is extremely important. But the fact is, your student needs to understand that you're the best friend and the most trusted advisor to that student. And not all students realize that today.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so tell us a little bit about, I know you're using this all kinds of different places, but talk about it. So what kind of customers do you have today? Where are they from? What kind of groups?
Oh, first of all, we were able to get an audience. Our initial contract, which I am proud of, is with an Indian nation, indigenous population, which is has been hit the hardest from the most recent disruptions and disasters that we've all lived through the last couple of years. This organization, or this tribe, was seeking help. It's the name of the tribe is the Ho-Chunk Nation, and they're located in Black Falls, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to secure a grant from the federal government to educate the families on leading a better life, preparing them for what they call a good life. So preparation of a good life is something that their elders and their leaders felt was important.
Mm-hmm.
I was invited to give them a presentation on what we were doing at Safe Steps, and they accepted it and provided us a 5-year contract to offer it to 1,000 families a year, not only the parents, but the students also, that help them create better communication at home. That's the number one goal. The number two goal is preparing them for life after they go through school.
That's fantastic. Well, it sounds like you're doing the right thing. Tell us a little bit about what your growth plans are.
Our growth plans are in 2 verticals right now. We have in our pipeline today, we are working with nonprofit organizations,
Mm-hmm.
and we're working with school districts. We are very focused on establishing beachheads with key influential entities that can become our best referral, our raving fans, as in marketing they call it. So organizations, for example, we're in discussions with the Girl Scouts USA.
That's great.
They are a phenomenal organization. We are trying to pull all their upper management together because of, number one, they realize that they provide a valuable service to our country. They also have seen through the pandemic a reduction in membership in their high school related or their older scouts, because the needs of the older students or the older scouts are not met as much as their younger ones, the brownies or whichever. Yeah. Those they can teach entrepreneurship. They can do the things with the Girl Scout cookies, which we all know.
I love those thin mint things, and
those thin mints are my favorite too. They're
I
great.
got it. So I used to go, when I was a kid, I couldn't wait to meet the Girl Scouts. When they come around, I had my mom load up on those things.
Well, we'll have to negotiate a lifetime supply for you.
I don't know
Yeah.
about that. My cholesterol go through the roof, but I could do it. I love them.
But we're really proud to be working with them to promote this with an older group than what they're focused, because the reason why they've done studies to say, why are you leaving Scouts? Well, it's because you're focused on the brownies, not on us. So we are working diligently to create additional processes for them, not only through high school, but into college and into their career. All along promoting the principles of scouting.
That's great. That's fantastic. Well, it's a good feeling too.
Oh, I tell you, it impacts not only the actual youth, the adolescent, the teenager, but it also, they have 350,000 parents involved with that organization.
Wow.
Guess what? We promote the parent and the student together. So it's something that we can virtually be able to serve two market segments at the same time.
No, you can't beat that. And so, what kind of things are you looking at right now? Are you raising money, or where are you with that? And what's the best way to people get a hold of you?
Well, first of all, thesafesteps.com is our website.
Yeah.
And we are our mission, our vision, and what we do and provide, people can learn all about that. They can reach me at Dave at thesafesteps.com. They can call me anytime on my cell, 619-778-5828. I'll pick up all the time, 24/7.
You know, Dave, I did that one time on one of these shows. I got so many phone calls. I had to
I would love it. I would love it. Yeah. What we are wanting to do is to establish the fact that what we do changes people's lives in a positive way. Not everybody is in tragedy. We can help those. We are not mental health providers or practitioners. What we are doing is we want to just slightly adjust their mindset to realize that there is abundance and opportunity for them that is not promoted widely. We want to bring that message to that community. That's why it resonates with nonprofit organizations, and we're trying to partner with educational institutions, secondary institutions at the school district level, so that we can have focused, concentrated efforts to not only educate, but build a community and a following of people that also have that same belief and understanding.
No,
Because
it's great. You're doing a great job, Dave. You're doing an amazing job, and making the world a better place. One student, one kid, one professional at a time. And that guidance is really great. I remember when I was a kid, the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, the Cub Scouts, the Weeblos, the Brownies, they were just like, it was a big deal. And bringing that morality back and people to have confidence in themselves and understand that they can be optimistic and believe in their dreams is really important. So I applaud you for that. You're doing an incredible job with Safe Steps. Keep it up. It's great. Thanks for sharing some of your background. I love the stories about Uppsala and Sweden and your experiences, because that's what it's all about. We got to think differently. We got to look at ourselves differently, not from just inside places like the US, but from the outside of what other people think and how we can make it better. So appreciate that. Thanks for taking your time out of your busy schedule to join Gary's Picks today. I'm the host, Gary Fowler. Joel, June, thank you for putting this on today one more time. We'll be back in another 2 weeks with another exciting edition of Gary's Picks. Joel, over to you.
Excellent. Dave, thank you so much. Your enthusiasm is infectious. I love what you're doing. Again, as Gary said, it's very timely. I also will put my stamp of approval on the Thin Mints. It was always my favorite as a kid. I'd save my pennies every week.
And
so
you guys
that
are
once a
getting me
year-
hungry right now. I gotta tell you. I haven't been thinking about those things for a long time, but all of a
Yeah.
sudden I'm getting a hankering for them.
It's all good. All right. So we'll see you back here in 2 weeks. In the meantime, everybody be safe and Happy New Year. Take care now.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Take care. Thanks, everybody. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.